let's get into our subject for today, which is AI image generation. And what we're not going to talk about today is the silly stuff. I think I put in the comments earlier, have you resisted yet turning yourself into an AI doll? That's gone crazy over the last few weeks. I've seen lots of accountants and other people in this space have created themselves as an AI doll. I've resisted that. I kind of thought about it, but I'm more interested in how can we use this amazing tool for more serious stuff, more practical stuff. I might talk about some fun stuff as well, but let's get serious about it. So what I'm going to cover over the next 30-40 minutes or so is we'll talk a little bit about what is this new tool, what can it do, how can we use it. I'll talk about some use cases. I'll talk about some tips for getting better images. And so we've got a lot of stuff to cover in this session. So by way of introduction, what I'm specifically talking about is the new image generation tool that OpenAI released. They released it into ChatGPT on March the 25th, 2025. So as I'm recording this, it's brand new, this tool. And what it's done is it's replaced DALL-E. DALL-E 3, if you used that, and I know many people who love ChatGPT also use DALL-E 3. The problem with DALL-E 3, in all the various tests and rankings of what is the best and worst AI image tools, DALL-E 3 came right at the bottom of the list. It was okay, but much better were tools like Midjourney, for example, was one of the best ones. But the reason why I think DALL-E 3 was so popular, despite the fact it was pretty poor compared with other tools. I mean, it's still amazing when you think what it can do compared to what we were aware of 2-3 years ago. It's extraordinary, the things that we can do these days. But it was pretty poor. The only reason we used it, the only reason I used it, was because of convenience, because it's inside ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT every single day. And so if I wanted to do an image, it was much easier just to go to DALL-E 3 rather than to go and log into something else like Midjourney. I have a Midjourney account, but I just found it, I'm lazy. I want all the stuff in the same place. Now, if you do like DALL-E 3, it's kind of not gone away. It's still there. If you want to access DALL-E 3, just so you know, if you do go into ChatGPT and if you go to Explore GPTs, then when you explore GPTs, you can search for DALL-E 3, and the OpenAI version of DALL-E 3 will pop up. And if you're on YouTube, you'll see this. If you're on my podcast, by the way, you might want to hop across to YouTube when I show a few things. But this one here, it is DALL-E 3, and you can use that if you want to. But even that, it does say a new model is rolling out in ChatGPT, which it has. It did on the 25th of March. So that's the big change that took place on the 25th of March. DALL-E 3 is gone, but you can access it via the GPT at the moment. They've got the new model. Now, the new model you can access through GPT-4o at the moment. That's bound to change because they keep changing stuff. And if I just show you how you access it, because one of the things I noticed is they made a change. So if I just pull up ChatGPT, I noticed about 6 days ago that the tool seemed to disappear. In other words, if you're in ChatGPT, when you want to use a tool, at the moment they have these 3 dots called View Tools, and when you click on the 3 dots, you have Canvas. If you specifically want to use Canvas, which we're not talking about today, but it's an amazing tool, you can then select to use Canvas. But you also had the image generation as well, and that seems to have disappeared. However, it's not a problem. It's not disappeared. It's still there. But a better way of accessing the tools when you do a chat, if you want to be specific about using a tool, is just use the / command in the chat box. When you use /, you'll see then it pulls up a list of all of the tools that you've got. And one of those is create image. And when you select that tool, that means whatever prompt you then do, it is going to create an image. It's not essential because if you, in your prompt, tell it you want to create an image, it will know that anyway and will probably go and create the image. But if you want to be totally sure about it, then just hit the / button, select create image, and then put your prompt. So that's how you access the image generation. It's currently inside GPT 4.0. I'm sure at some point they'll roll it out across other tools. Now, I said to you that DALL-E 3 was often ranked one of the, if not the worst image generation tools. What's interesting is when OpenAI released this inside ChatGPT on the 25th of March, then in the various rankings of how these tools are performing, suddenly this went to pretty much the top of the list in a whole bunch of different areas. And that's partly because it's a very, very different model that they've used. A lot of the previous image generation tools have used diffusion models, and what OpenAI have done with this one is it's an auto-regressive model. And that means it gives us some really interesting stuff. It has a number of really interesting benefits. And so I'm going to talk you through what's great about it. But what I'm also going to do today is I'm going to show you some practical prompts. And I like to do prompts live because I think it's more fun than ones I've pre-done. The problem with, and one of the downsides of this new AI image generation is it's quite slow to create the images. It's not too slow, but it's sometimes a bit frustrating if you're doing something live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my first prompt right now, and then I'll carry on and talk about some of the benefits. And then what I will do is we'll come and have a look at what it does. So I'm just going to go back to ChatGPT. So I've already selected create an image. I did the slash, and I'm just going to paste in a prompt here. And so I want to create an image of the concept is the trust accountant in the AI age. I've got in here the size. I want it to be widescreen. I want it to have a central figure, a confident accountant or bookkeeper standing in a modern office environment. I've got the background as a subtle blend of tech elements. I want on the left side overlay, I want a translucent checklist labeled 5 essential use cases with tick boxes. I want some icons on the right hand side. I want a color palette that's maroon, white and gold accents. And I want a headline of get more out of AI and save time. And I want a sub-headline of use cases for accounting firms. Okay, I'm going to come back to that and I'm going to explain some of the things that I've done in that particular prompt. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to send that. And when you do that, you'll see that it says getting started and it's starting to respond. And it takes, I think, usually about a minute. Anyway, we'll come back to that, okay? We'll come back to that in a little while and see how it's getting on. So what is great about this new model inside ChatGPT? Well, one is the fact it's integrated already. It's inside the tool that we're already using, which makes it super convenient for us. Second thing is the conversational refinement, and I think that's partly because they've used this auto-regressive model. That means that we can have a conversation like we've always done with ChatGPT, and it will not just take the prompt that you've posted, like I've just done the example, but it will actually take into account all the previous things in your conversation. So you could make the image the last thing you do as part of a conversation. For example, you could ask ChatGPT to give you some ideas on how to improve your website. You could upload an image of your website or give it the link to your website. You could ask for ideas for how to improve the website. You could have a conversation with ChatGPT about different things to improve on the website. And then when you're done with all that conversation, you could then ask ChatGPT to create a design, a redesign of the homepage of your website. And it does a really cool job with that and will take into account the things you've had in the conversation before that. So I find that really powerful, this conversational refinement. The next thing that it's pretty good at is reasonably consistent character rendering. So if you've got a particular character, an image of yourself or something, it can create that, and then you can have that being consistent in subsequent images. You can also upload reference images. So you can ask it to use a reference image that you upload and use that as a guide towards the style, the layout, etc. Of course, one of the things that we can do is you could upload an image of yourself and ask it to recreate the image, but with you with a different background, for example, or you wearing a hat. Now, it's not perfect. When it then does the image, it won't look exactly like you. What I've found is that some people seem to have a face that AI can replicate better than others. In my particular case, whenever I upload an image and ask it to do something, it doesn't really look like me. It's similar. But that's going to get better over time. And there are other people I've seen do this where I've thought, wow, that really does look like them. So that's something you may want to experiment with. If you want to have, for example, a practical use case might be if you want to create YouTube thumbnails and you want your image to be in the YouTube thumbnail, then you could use the tool for that. Personally, I would rather get a professional cameraman in, take some photos of me in various poses, looking shocked or happy or whatever, and using those as thumbnails. But you could use AI. I've tried it, and it can be quite cool. I think that, but here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing that ChatGPT is good at is text. So one of the big problems in the past with all the tools, even things like Midjourney, is they made spelling mistakes. When you got text on the image, it wasn't always right. And now what ChatGPT, what OpenAI have achieved, is getting the text extraordinarily good. It does occasionally make mistakes, but fairly rarely. So that, I think, is the single most powerful thing that makes it practical for doing things like YouTube thumbnails, social media images, and so much more. The tech stuff is fantastic. And then also what we can do is we can further enhance images, and I'll show you that now because I've just noticed out the corner of my eye, it did do a little while ago, it did do the image. So here is the image that I've got, and the first thing you'll notice is that the text is all correct. 5 essential use cases: get more out of AI and save time, subheading use cases for accounting firm owners. And that's exactly what I asked it to do in the prompt. I wanted, on the left-hand side, I wanted a translucent checklist labeled 5 essential use cases with a few ticked boxes. It's done exactly that. I've asked for the headline of get more out of AI and save time. It's done that. I've asked for a sub-headline of use cases for accounting firms owners, and it's done that. And as far as I can see, that's perfect. And if you were to look at the rest of the prompt and compare it to what it's done exactly what I wanted, which I think is really cool. Now, of course, to get exactly what you want, a lot of the skill here, which I'll come back to later, is down to the prompt engineering. It's how you craft your prompts. You'll notice that was a fairly long prompt I did, because one of the things I've been exploring is how can we craft better prompts to get exactly what we want and to get consistency in our images, which I think is really important for us as professional firm owners if we're going to use it for things like websites, for slides, for social images. Then we want things like our branding reflected. These things are important if we want to do professional images. So I think that's pretty good. But let me just talk about the further enhancement, because what we can then do is, having done an image, what we can do is we can then have a further conversation. We could say to ChatGPT, yeah, that's great, but can you redo that with a different type of color? Or could we change the text? And you can absolutely do that. But even more precisely, what you can do, if you click on the image itself, as well as being able to save it, you can download the image, you will notice that you've got a little select icon. And also at the bottom, you've got a little prompt where it says describe what you want to add, remove, or replace. So at this point, you can specify now what you want it to change, and it knows it's referring specifically to that image. So this is more reliable than starting another prompt later on. But even more powerful is this select button. So let's say that you wanted to put some sunglasses on him, then on this person. What you could do, oops, I didn't select it. What you can do is you can draw over the area and then say, turn these into sunglasses. And this just creates more clarity because it knows exactly which area of the image you want to change. It then won't change anything else pretty much. Sometimes there's subtle changes, but usually it's the same image, but this case with sunglasses. And I could run that and it will go and do that. It just won't happen very fast. So let me carry on. We can perhaps see what it does in a short while. So what can we do in our businesses, in our firms? How can we use this tool? What are some of the use cases that we've got? Well, some of the obvious ones are social media posts. And I'll show you some examples of that in a short while, some of the cool stuff we can do with social media posts. You can also use it for creating presentations. If you want to create, for example, templates for a slide deck or images for a slide deck, that's really useful. If you do presentations, if you want to create slides, then it's a fast way of creating images. I think one of the things that I love it for, and I'll show you in a little while an example, is if you, as part of your marketing, create content. Let's say you've written an ebook and you want to put in your social posts, you want to put in on your landing pages, you want an image of that ebook that makes it look like it's a real product, then you can do exactly that with this tool. As I mentioned earlier, you can design your web pages or get it to give you some updates on your web page. There are so many really practical things that we can do with this tool. It is absolutely extraordinary. So I can see out of the corner of my eye that our image is appearing. In fact, let me go to it right now because it's only done the first half. You can see. So this is what's happening when it's doing the image. It takes a bit of time, and you'll see it'll start to reveal itself. And okay, great. So I think you can now see what I think is really cool about this is it's almost the same image, apart from we've gone from glasses to sunglasses. Now, it has made some subtle changes, as I said. The face is just a little bit different, but probably because where I drew the little thing, it changed the face as well when I did the select tool. But if you look at it, the text is the same, the logo's the same, the background's 99% the same. So that ability to select just one little piece of your image and get it to just change that and leave the rest, I think is really powerful if you're starting to fine-tune your images. So let me run another prompt. And I just need to find it so I can copy and paste it so that you don't watch me type this, because it's a long prompt. I'm just going to grab the prompt, Control C. I'm going to go into the box. I will, to make sure it does an image, I will hit the / and choose Create Image, and you'll see that appears in blue. And then I'll paste in my prompt, which is I'm going to show you this prompt in a short while. We'll go through this prompt. It's a prompt to create a social media image. Let me just run that prompt, and we're going to come back to that in a short while, because what I'm going to do is show you some other types of images that you can create. So I mentioned earlier that if you've written an ebook, for example, or you've created some sort of digital product, it could be an ebook, it could be perhaps you've got an audio program that you've done, and when you put it on social images, your website, your landing pages, you want to make it look like a real product. And so one of the things that you will often see is graphic designers turning things into 3D images. And so I know this is quite small on the screen, but one of the things that I created some years ago was I did a benchmarking report for the accounting profession, which was all about, I'd researched and benchmarked accounting firms on how much they price for different services. And I created a detailed research report around that. And I, at the time, turned that into a product, and my graphic designer designed it and made it a 3D image, which you can see on the screen, that little 3D image. And then what I also did very recently is I wrote a 35-page research report for the accounting profession on privacy and security, on client confidentiality. And I decided I would like to have that done as a 3D image. So what I did was I created a fairly simple little prompt that says, I have attached a 3D product shot and the front cover of my report on pricing and security. I want you to turn the front cover of my report into a 3D product shot. Simple prompt, and it didn't need to be complex because, as I said earlier, one of the great things about this tool is that we can upload images to act as references. So in this case, I just took a 3D image of a product, It's happened to be one that an existing product I've got, but you can get these images from the website if you find a particular 3D style that you like. I just uploaded the PNG file, and then I also uploaded the front cover of my privacy and security book guide. I think it was a PNG. I think I did a screenshot of the PDF. It was probably as simple as that. And I uploaded that, and I ran that prompt. And what it came up with was this image on the screen, which I think you'll agree is almost exactly the same style as the reference image, the other 3D image, but this time it's my new guide. And what I think's really powerful about this is, again, the text is absolutely accurate, no spelling mistakes. It's got the logo right as well, and it's also got the logo in. It's obviously recognised that it's not square on, so it's got the perspective of the text and so on. It really done really well. It looks like it was what you would have done with a graphic designer doing it, or with software you can still buy to do 3D images. But now we can do it here. So I think that's a really powerful use case for accounting firms. If you're doing content marketing, written an ebook, an audio program, other digital products, very easy to create a nice little 3D image to go on your website and so on. Okay, what else can we use it for? Well, social media posts are great. So if, for example, one of the things that you could do if you have a Facebook group or a Facebook page or other social pages, you might want to post, for example, once a week, a motivational quote of the week. And you can create some really cool images doing that. What else could you create? One of the things that you can do is it's really good at creating photorealistic images. For example, if you're creating a brochure for your firm or you want images for your website, then now you can create them really quickly inside ChatGPT, and nobody will really tell that they're AI generated. Now, I personally, my view is that when you have a website and you have images on your website, I've always hated stock footage. I think that when you do a website, the images should be of you and your team, because people buy from people. I'm not a big fan of stock images, but there is a place where you might want to use them. But what I did want to show you about this particular image, and one of the things it can do really, really well, is when I created the prompt for this image, I also uploaded the logo for the Value Pricing Academy, and I asked it to put it in the image. I kept it really vague. I didn't say where to put it. I just said include it somewhere. And as you can see, it's put it on the wall. And what I like about this is that, again, it's got the perspective pretty much right. It looks like that is the logo painted onto the wall. There's no spelling mistakes. You'd be hard pressed to know that that was AI generated. So one of the things that you might want to do when you're doing images for your accounting firm is upload your logo. It's not perfect every single time. I think I've been lucky that was one shot, did it right the very first time. So that's, I think, pretty cool, the fact that we can include our logos, we can include our color schemes in images. Here's just another example of a image I did, which, again, you might want to use this in a brochure, on a website, subject to my suggestion that I personally don't like. I don't like anything other than proper personalized images of your team and so on. But nevertheless, you might find use cases for images like this in brochures and so on. Another thing I mentioned is you can use it for creating slide backgrounds. So this, for example, I got it to create me a slide background that I could use. I won't use this, I was doing this for demo purposes, but one of the things it knows is that when you create slide backgrounds, you don't want it to be bold colors, because you want it to be fairly muted, because you don't want it to distract from the messaging that you put on it. So this I thought was a pretty good. And then what you can do is, if you want images on your slides, you can then get images created, like, for example, this image. And one of the things that, if you're creating images to go on top of your slides, one of the things that you can do, which is really cool, is you can specify that the image needs to have a transparent background, which basically means that this particular image I can put it onto the slide, and it's got the slide coming, the slide image coming through. I could put it anywhere I want. Whereas if it was a plain white background, you'd have a big white box sat on top of your slide background. So that's pretty cool. Okay, where do we get to? Yes, let me show you where we got to with one of our images. So I put in, if I go back to ChatGPT, I put in this particular prompt, this prompt here, and I'll explain it in a second. Let me just quickly show you a sneak preview. That's what it came up with just now. And so the idea here was, I was thinking, okay, well, what if we do want to do social media posts for a motivational quote of the week, let's say. If you want to do some more engaging social posts with quotes, then this is the prompt that I use. I want a minimalist top-down image of a thoughtfully arranged workspace designed to inspire calm, focus, and quiet productivity. I want it to be square. I want it to be a top-down, bird's eye view, clean and balanced layout with intentional white space. I want soft neutral tones, e.g. warm whites, pale beige, gentle morning sunlight casting natural shadows, evoking a peaceful and provocative mood. Then I want some specific key things on the desk. I want an hourglass to suggest the passage of time. I want a travel brochure with the front cover showing a paradise beach location in the Maldives. And I want an iPad showing a goal planner with an Apple Pencil, including sketches suggesting the planning of goals. Now I chose those three things in this prompt because I was using this particular quote, this motivational quote. It's never too late to make a change, by Paulo Coelho. Each object should be spaced thoughtfully with visual breathing room. The mood wants to be calm, focused, and subtly uplifting, designed to simulate the start of a mindful and productive morning. I've then given instructions on how I want it to do the prompt, the quote. I want it to be deep grey or soft charcoal, centered text with generous line spacing. And I've also specified the use case. I'm going to use this for, I've told it I want to use it for social media posts, productivity blogs, or morning routine campaigns. And so this is what was created, and I've only just seen it. You saw me doing it live. I think this is really, really good. It's exactly what I wanted. So if you've got a motivational quote, you can see it's never too late to make a change. It's got the text perfectly right, exactly how I wanted it. It's got the three images, which was an iPad pencil with some images around setting goals, a travel brochure to the Maldives, to a beach, and an egg timer, not an egg timer, what's the word I'm looking for? An hourglass to represent the passing of time, because it's never too late to make a change. So, and here's the really important point I want to make, is that when you understand how to construct your prompts, and you've got some prompt engineering skills, and you can start creating some templates, you can start to create consistency in your outputs. So let's say, for example, let's say you like this particular prompt, or this image, if you like this image, and let's say you did want to post every single Monday a quote of the week, then because of your branding and style, you'll probably want every single week to have some sort of theme commonality with your images. So think about your branding, think about having some consistency in your marketing, your social posts. And so what I did with this particular one is, first of all, I got the quote. I actually used, I don't know if you've used it, it may be a session for another day, I have already built into ChatGPT, I'm using tasks, so I get every single week, it gives me automatically a motivational quote, and I get a notification to tell me when I've got a quote. And then what I did is I ran a prompt and said, based on this quote, what would be 3 suitable images? And ChatGPT said, an hourglass to represent the passing of time, a brochure, an iPad with some scribbles around goals. So then all you would do is you'd have a template prompt that gives you the style of image you want, and then all you have to do is put in the specific quote and what are the 3 objects and then you get your image. And you could then get somebody in your team every single week just to run tasks, to get a quote every week. You could get them to run a standard prompt every week to then get three objects to have in there, and then you could run they could run your standard prompt, which will then give you an image that's going to have this consistency with the particular design layout that you want, the colors you want, and so on. So I'm not saying necessarily use that particular style of image. I personally like that. It's clean, it's simple. There's a lot of things I do like about that. But the key point here is, if you want to get that consistency in your prompts, if you've got particular styles, branding for your firm, then having some templates for the way that you do your prompts is really powerful. Okay, let's do something for fun for a second, or at least I'm going to run something for fun, and then I'll do some tips. So one of the things I'm going to do for fun is, I've showed you serious stuff so far, and I mentioned at the outset whether have you resisted turning yourself into a doll, because that went crazy. I resisted, but everybody else I know in the profession seems to be a doll. Personally, I want to figure out how to use this tool for more serious stuff, because we can do some extraordinary things with it. But let's also have some fun as well. Let's have some fun. So one of the things, and I want to illustrate something here. So one of the things that we can do is, we could turn ourselves into a different style. And I know some people like Lego and might want to turn themselves into a Lego character. And that's cool. Give that a try. So the way that you would do that, and one of the things I like about this tool, is the fact that if you want to do that, then you can get an image of yourself. And I'm just going to grab an image and drag it in. And this is ChatGPT. Why is it taking so long? Sometimes it takes a while. There you go. It's done. It's got my image. Actually, it's just loading it. I can see it's almost there. So this is an image. I was speaking on stage at the Digital Accounting Conference just a couple of weeks ago, doing something on value pricing and how we can use ChatGPT to help us build and create our value pricing systems, which is a really interesting, another use case that we can use ChatGPT for. So anyway, I've got an image that was taken of me on the stage, which I've just put in there, and I'm just going to grab and tell it, oops, can't do that. Let me do the / and tell it to use creating an image. And then I'm just going to do a really simple prompt this time, just to demonstrate that you don't have to always do really long prompts, particularly if it's a fun thing, if you're just doing some fun. So I've put in here, the attached image is me presenting at a conference. Recreate this image in widescreen, but in a steampunk style. So I'm going to hit this button here, and I'm going to let it do its stuff. And while it's doing its stuff, we'll come back to that in a second. So let me just share with you a few tips around AI image generation. And the first is that, as with all things with AI, with large language models, with ChatGPT, if you want to get better results out of the tool, then you need to understand how to craft your prompts. This is the world of prompt engineering. And I know many people know that I've been teaching for the last 2 years now how to do prompt engineering. And it's just the same with images. It's just a different style of prompt. If you want to get the best results from your images, you need to know how to craft prompts. And about 1.5 years ago, I started playing with Midjourney. I bought some courses on how you craft prompts in Midjourney. So when this tool came out, the first thing I did was went back to all my notes of how to craft prompts in Midjourney, and then just tested them out to see to what extent they have to be changed for this particular tool with ChatGPT. And so when we're creating our prompts, if you want to get some consistency in your outcomes, then there are a number of things that we need to think about and specify in our prompts. For example, you need to understand what are the different types of image styles and what image style are you looking for. There are dozens and dozens of styles. For example, and different styles for different purposes. So for example, if you are doing a hero shot on your website, or an image in a brochure, for example, then you might want a photorealistic image. That's a particular style, and one that I tend to use quite a lot. But even with a photorealistic image, there are things that we can do that we can specify to get a particular type of photorealistic image. And this helps if you understand photography, have some skills around different types of film, lenses, and so on, because when you understand that, we can be very specific in our prompts as to exactly what type of photorealistic image. But there's more than just photorealistic. We can have things like flat images. We can have cartoon style images. There are so many different cartoon styles. You'll see steampunk in a second, Lego, and many, many more. So there are lots of different styles of image that we can create. You need to understand that because then you can specify in your prompts what is the most appropriate style for the thing that you are looking for. Sometimes it might be photorealistic, but sometimes it's not. If you're looking to create, for example, a social post, perhaps you want to create an infographic, then a different style will be more appropriate. You also need to understand aspect ratios. So that's the size of the image, if you like. If it's a PowerPoint presentation, that would be 16 by 9. If it's a social image, very often they are square. And so if you want to have some control over the size of the image, then put the aspect ratio in there. Now, unfortunately, one of the things I'm finding is that it doesn't always follow exactly. You can't really fine-tune exactly what the aspect ratio is. I think Midjourney is better for that. Midjourney, you can be very specific in your prompt. If you say, I think it's a curly symbol, and then AR for aspect ratio, aspect ratio, and then let's say rather than 16 by 9, you want 16 by 7 because you want it not to fill your slide up. It will do exactly that in Midjourney. In ChatGPT at the moment, it approximates it. And so you might want to simplify it by just saying widescreen, square, portrait, for example. I'm finding that if I say 16 by 9, it will do that, but if I want a 16 by 8, it doesn't do that exactly. Nevertheless, it'll get better, no doubt. You still have an element of control. Just make sure your prompt is specific. You also want to be specific about things like the text that you want. Think about other things to specify, and I showed some examples earlier. Things like the color palette, things like the mood that you're looking for in the image can all impact on the image that you are getting. So you need to understand how to create image prompts. You need to understand, if you want to get the best out of it, all the different elements to build into your prompting. And then what you want to do is to create consistency. I strongly recommend you start building prompt templates. So you will probably, once you start to realize that you might want to have a particular style for your social media posts, you might want to have a different style for your website, for example, you might want to have a different one for PowerPoint images, then start to build up a library of prompt templates where, like the one I showed you earlier, where if it's a motivational quote of the week, you have the template and then all you do is change some specifics like the objects or the text, but the rest of it, it'll keep that style, it'll keep that color theme and so on. Okay, at this point, let me go back to, it did do a little while ago, it's done my image. So there's me speaking at the Digital Accounting Conference. I asked it to turn me into a steampunk style, and there you go, that's steampunk style, which I think is quite cool. Not sure that I will use it, but it's interesting that it has got the Digital Accounting Conference text in there, exactly right. It's not quite, and I wanted to point this out, it's not perfect with text, okay? This is really important. It's pretty good. It has spelt value as values and accounting with 2 N's, but I think that's partly because actually it's not on the image. So what's really interesting about, in this particular case, is it's predicting what the title of my presentation is, so because it's not in there, and it's then predicted what the other words are. And it's done a good job, just it's slightly spelt them wrong. But I could correct that, because what I could do is I could click on the image, I could then use the select tool, and I could select values and then say redo the image, but make sure it's spelt as value. Okay, but I wanted to point that out. I was hoping it would make a mistake. Do make sure that you check the text in your images. But when you specify the text, I find it's been, well, I've had 100% success so far, and I've been using this tool in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been using it a huge amount. Okay, let me just show you one more final example, and then I think we will wrap up. So I did this one just a few days ago, and I used a prompt for this particular one. And the reason I did this is because I did a course. I did a course a week ago, 55-minute video training for accounting firm owners on all about privacy and security, because this is a big issue. I think that probably, I suspect most, I'm going to guess 90% of accounting firm owners using ChatGPT are probably unwittingly falling foul of professional guidelines and breaking the data protection rules. We have to be really, really careful about what we do put into these AI models, particularly accounting firm owners, because of client confidentiality. So I did this course to talk about what the problems are, but also the strategies and tips on how to make sure we don't fall foul of the professional requirements and don't fall foul of data protection laws. So that's that's the image that I asked it to come up with at the end of my conversation around. I gave it the transcripts, I got it to summarize all the marketing material, and then at the end of it I then put a post saying, create a suitable image for me. I gave it a template prompt, and this was first time around it created this image, which I'm really pleased with. It got the text perfect, exactly as I wanted it. So I love this tool. I think it's extraordinary. And bearing in mind, as I'm recording this, it's only been out for about 4 weeks. This is just going to get better and better and better. This is the start of this journey with this new auto-aggressive tool that OpenAI have released. And it's just got so many practical use cases, as well as, of course, the fun stuff. Okay, we are going to go to questions. Before I go to questions, let me just also mention that if you want to go deeper on AI image generation, then I created a course on that last week on AI image generation. And if you want the full course, then I've got that available in something called the AI Academy. I launched this a month ago. I've already mentioned to you the free community that I do recommend you join. But if you want to go another level, I have the AI Academy. I'm going to get Sarah to put the link into the comments for you if you missed the QR code. And let me just quickly show you what's in there, why you might want to join it. You'll probably want to join it because at the moment, there's a founder member offer, which means the price that you pay today is the lowest it will ever be. It's a tiny monthly investment. And if you go to the page, it will look like this. You've got, again, a community of people where you can ask questions, engage with other people in the community. I will post stuff in there. And there's also a classroom where you'll get many, many more courses that I've created. So you'll get access to my AI image generation course. You'll also, if you need to make sure that you are compliant with privacy and security, then that course is there as well, with things like privacy policies, a 35-page guide that goes with it to help make sure that you are compliant with AI, and many, many more courses and programs there on prompt engineering, how to use cases in ChatGPT, and so much more. And there's more coming. We're just a few weeks into launching this, and I've got many, many more video training courses that I will be creating. So if you want to go deeper on your journey with AI and learn more about ChatGPT and know exactly what's happening, getting the latest information, then join the AI Academy. Okay, I think we are ready to answer a few questions. We have 12 minutes and then we will wrap up. If, by the way, you've found this valuable, if you've learned something today, please just click the thumbs up button in whatever social channel you are in. I'll really appreciate that. It helps me to know what stuff you are liking. Right. So Neil's going to create a doll for me. Thank you so much for that, Neil. I really do appreciate that. I have resisted myself, so it'll be interesting to see what you come up with. I am sure it'll be something really, really embarrassing, which I'll never, ever reveal in public. But anyway, yes, please turn me into a doll if you want. Jim says, have you tried using a logo in SVG format and adding to an image? No, I haven't, Jim. But here's one of the things that I found really cool is that because I'm creating, some of you know that I'm creating some brand new software right now with a prompt library built into it and many other things, and this software is going to be released fairly soon. And one of the things that you can do with ChatGPT is if you want icons, little icons in software, for example, then you can use it to create icons, and you can give them with transparent backgrounds. And the only thing that I found with it is I've created icons for my developer, and they can turn them into WEBP, WebP files. SVG is a better file format, but I don't think you can create the output as SVG. What I did do though, Jim, is I created my logos, my icons inside ChatGPT, and then what I did is straight afterwards I said, can you turn them into SVG format? And what ChatGPT will do is it will open up its code interpreter and create the code to then create the SVG file, and then you can it'll then give you a link to download the SVG file. The only thing I found with that is that the resolution of the SVG file is not perfect, and having had a conversation with my developer, they said it's probably better to instead just download the PNG image and then use a tool to turn it into a WEBP file. Whilst the resolution is not so great, because it's only going to be an icon inside software, it's going to be better than the ChatGPT generated SVG file. I hope that makes sense, Jim. I do know that if you search on Google, there are some tools that can turn things into SVG. I've just found them a little bit unsatisfactory because they're a little bit more difficult to create those files. You have to render them in a different way. Hope that helps, Jim. I know you're pretty switched on with this tech stuff, probably more so than me. Right, Nigel Gilroy. Hi, Nigel. If I create a video for social media and I want to frame it in my colors, can I upload my video and a prompt? You can't. I don't know, Nigel. I'm not sure. I don't think you can upload the video into ChatGPT. But what you could do is, let me just read it again. If I create a video for social media and I want to frame it in my colors, can I upload my video and a prompt? I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to do, Nigel, but you could take your image and grab a screenshot of it and take the screenshot and put the screenshot into ChatGPT, and then it will create an image based on that screenshot. And also, I didn't specify earlier, but when you say frame it in my colors, the other thing that's really good about this new tool inside ChatGPT is you can specify your exact brand colors, and it's pretty, I think it's, from what I'm finding, it's pretty accurate. Whereas with DALL-E 3, if you said what your brand colors were, it would give an approximation of the brand color, but it wouldn't be accurate. So massive improvement there. Michael says, I put the size in my prompts, but when I download the image, it's not the size I requested. What else do I need to do? Okay, so Michael, you said 1280 by 720. I think I might have answered that. This is a frustration. You can't be super specific with the aspect ratios. It's more of an approximation. If you ask for 16 by 9 widescreen, it does do 16 by 9. If you ask for square, it does do square. But if it's anything a little bit different, I'm finding it's not always accurate. So if that's really important to you, then you might want to use a different tool like Midjourney, which I find better for more specific aspect ratios. What else could you do? I mean, there are other tools. You could create your image in ChatGPT, and then you can have, there's various image generation tools which will then extrapolate the image, usually pretty accurately, to make it the exact dimensions. So there's no perfect, unfortunately, Michael, there's no perfect workaround for that. It's not perfect when it comes to aspect ratios yet, but just please remember, it's the 25th of March. It only came out 4 weeks ago, and I know that already they are changing things. They did say, OpenAI said that they were just blown away by the number of people using the tool. For the first week afterwards, ChatGPT did slow down. If you go to their website, where they show their the number of times that the site's down, it was struggling quite a bit in the first week. What we also discovered is that when they brought this tool out, the number of people using ChatGPT went through the roof. It really took off. And we've seen some changes already, like, for example, when you click on the 3 dots, it doesn't list the tool anymore. And also they did introduce, there was underneath your GPTs on the left-hand side, they had a little button called Images that if you click on would then show you in one place all of the images that you've created, which is quite cool if you want to go back and revisit them and download them. And then that disappeared, which just tells me that they are continually making changes. And that's what I'm finding with ChatGPT at the moment, which I love. The number of changes just this year alone, I think, exceeds all the changes in the whole of 2024. It's moving so fast, they're continually changing stuff, which is fun. Right, is there, yes, is AI Academy available for VPA members, or is it a separate product? It is separate because, well, for various reasons, and if you're in the Value Pricing Academy, we will be putting some announcements fairly soon. I'm not sure what level you are. If you're a Mastery member, you don't need to join AI Academy because you have access to my monthly Leading Edge sessions. So yesterday in Leading Edge, in my Value Pricing Academy level 3 for Mastery firms, I gave all of the key things you need to know about privacy and security, for example. But if you're in level 1 or 2, it doesn't mean you'll get access to some of the stuff I talk about in Leading Edge through the AI Academy, so that might be a better option for you. It also means that if you just want the simplicity of everything in one place, then you might want to join the AI Academy. But so you're level 2. Yeah, if you join the AI Academy, you'll effectively get my more advanced stuff that otherwise you would have to join level 3 Mastery. So for you, it's probably worth it if you want to go deeper with AI and don't want to join Mastery just yet. Okay, any other questions? We've got 4 minutes left. I can't see any more questions yet, but let me just review again just in case I have missed anything, or any strange comments like Neil wanting to make me into a doll. I saw Brian showed up. Hi there, Brian, good to see you again. Jim says thanks for the answer, including the example. Okay, Raphael says aspect ratio is difficult to achieve in ChatGPT even when you include it in the prompt. Thank you. That's just confirmed what I said. It's one of the frustrations right now, but we just have to compare it to what we had before with DALL-E 3. It's light years ahead of DALL-E 3. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to shut down in just a few minutes. So now is your last chance to ask questions. I don't know if you saw Michael, but that's helpful. You could use Adobe Express for changing the size. I've not thought of that. I don't use Adobe Express, but that's a really good tip. Thank you for sharing that. Right, I can't see any more questions. So the last thing I'll just say is I am doing another live stream next week. And next week's live stream, if I can remember what it is, I'm going to be looking at practical use cases and prompts to help you improve productivity in your accounting firm. So if you want to find ways to use ChatGPT and get more stuff done, be more productive, then come along to next week's live stream. I've got loads of stuff we're going to share there. Nigel says, okay, we have time for this one more question, I think. Where do you place the recording of this schedule? Okay, so Nigel, firstly, these live sessions are on my YouTube channel, so they're always on my YouTube channel. If you want advance notification of them, we do email people every Monday. Or if you want advanced notification, Nigel, do make sure that you join our free community. And I can see already that 14 people today have just said they want to join it, so I will let you all in very soon. If you join the ChatGPT for accountants and for accountants, completely free, you'll get loads of value, loads of stuff here, and one of the things you'll get is at the top, it'll tell you when the next live stream is. You can see it's currently saying live because we are doing this one right now, but if you go to the calendar, then you'll see you've got next week's, and then you have the option to put it in your calendar as well. So one of the things I like about this platform is if you want to come to the live sessions, then it's really convenient, and if you're in the AI Academy, you'll get access to or reminders of the live sessions plus essential AI sessions done by my colleague Emily Cross. She did one last week. So Nigel, that's where you can find the upcoming ones. And we also, by the way, as well, we put with Emily's sessions if you go into, if you're in the AI Academy, or if you miss any of Emily's live sessions, her 90-minute AI Essential sessions, then in the classroom there is Essential AI, where you can access all of Emily's previous sessions. These are all 90-minute sessions on using AI. That's in the AI Academy, okay? So there's loads of, between those two, you'll get loads of training and loads of notification about the live sessions we are doing. Hope that helps, Nigel. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for coming along and giving up your precious time. I hope you found this valuable, and I will perhaps see you in next week's live stream if you want some more AI stuff. Okay, I'm going to play out with some music so I can read the rest of your comments. Bye for now.